Embrace divine wisdom and discover the deeper power within your soul. Another week, another great episode with my legendary co host, Miss Visipit. Oh, Miss Carol.
Thank you, Daniel. I look forward to this episode as I do always, all of them.
Yes, welcome, welcome everyone. And today let's talk about finding peace in the troubled world. What is all about, Miss Carol?
There's a lot going on in this world, and it's scary with everything that is going on.
Definitely, there's a lot of things happening to us right now, and we need to have this inner peace within, inner peace that we can ask to the Lord or our Creator. Finding peace in troubled world does not mean escaping chaos or denying reality. It means cultivating inner stability despite of external uncertainty. The world has always been marked by conflict, change, and unpredictability, but peace begins when stop expecting circumstances to provide what only inner alignment can sustain. It's a shift from control to clarity, from reaction and grounded response. So, Miss Carol, when you think of a troubled world, what is the specific type of trouble that the 24/7 news cycle, political polarization, economic anxiety, or a deep sense of, well, existential uncertainty that you find most corrosive to individual peace today?
Our troubled world is a combination of all of those, and they're all toxic. Everything feels externally pressurized with conflict. I don't find one more corrosive than the other, but my observation is that our political system incites anger and violence. I no longer watch the news. I stay out of political arguments because not one person or party will correct our trajectory. That's my opinion. I downsized my home because of economic uncertainty. Soon people will make hard choices to have or maintain their peace.
To maintain their peace, people among those pressure, the 24/7 news cycle is often the most corrosive to individual peace, not because the issue it covers are important, but because of how they are delivered. The constant stream of alerts, outrage driven headlines, and a breaking news creates a sense of perpetual emergency, even when nothing is immediately threatening our personal lives. The nervous system is kept on high alert, leaving little space for reflection, rest, and perspective. So, Miss Carol, how do we distinguish between the positive state of inner peace and the negative state of checking out, numbers, or numbness or avoidance? What is the line between healthy disengagement and denial?
Well, if you're numbing out and avoiding, peace cannot be found. At least that's what I'm aware of. The line between both can represent unconscious emotional withdrawal and refusal to accept reality. When you become aware this is happening, form necessary boundaries. Once you feel inner peace, bad habits are easier to walk away from. Make active decisions and have healthy disengagement.
In the disengagement, and the difference between the inner peace and unhealthy disengagement is not a distance from the world, but quality presence or quality of presence. Inner peace is the engaged calm, a person at a peace remains emotionally available, responsive, and morally alert. They can face difficulty, hold tension, and feel compassion without being overwhelmed. Peace increase clarity, agency, and responsibility. Numbness or avoidance, by contrast, is a form of a withdrawal driven by fear or exhaustion. It reduces emotional range rather than stabilizing it. Instead of clarity, it brings dullness. Instead of freedom, it brings rigidity. People in this state often avoid hard conversation, minimize real problems, or disconnect from their own feelings to escape discomfort. The cause is delayed, unresolved issues resurface later or greater intensity. So, Miss Carol, does finding peace requires a certain level of privilege, of safety, time, and resources, or is it a fundamental human capacity accessible to anyone regardless of external circumstances?
Before I stepped away from my business, I had time restrictions. I was able to afford retreats and other spiritual trips that I didn't have financial constraints that I face now. Many spiritual locations have a hefty price. Safety while finding peace isn't a concern for me. You should plan what is the most important for soul growth and peace. You have to prioritize financial resources for what's most important to your peace. When you come in contact with others that share similar beliefs and values, that doesn't cost anything and it helps my mind to be peaceful.
To be peaceful indeed. Finding peace does not require privilege in the deepest sense, but the privilege make peace easier to practice and harder to misunderstand. The distinction matters. At a fundamental level, inner peace is a human capacity, not a luxury good. History shows these clearly. People living under the extreme hardship, poverty, oppression, illness, and imprisonment have the articulated profound inner peace, meaning the spiritual clarity. This suggests peace is not dependent on comfort, wealth, or control of circumstances. It arises from how one relates to reality, suffering, and self, not from the absence of difficulty. So, Miss Carol, is peace found by withdrawing from the world to cultivate an inner sanctuary, or by engaging more skillfully with the world from grounded center? Can it be both?
I believe it's both. Being alone while grounding in nature has allowed me peace. There's nothing like it in the world. I used to be scared to go outside, of snakes and all this other stuff, and it does not matter. I want my peace. Through isolation and spiritual retreats, I protect myself and exclude what isn't in my best and highest good. It allows me to actively engage with what I want, not what others expect. Part of it happens with maturity, I think. It goes against our internal programming by going within. By doing this, it allows us to be part of our inner connected sanctuary while remaining grounded. It's an intention that allows you to fully know yourself.
Interesting, Miss Carol. Peace is not found choosing between the withdrawal and engagement, but learning when and how to do both. In the sense that it can be, must be both. Withdrawal is necessary because the inner life needs space to recalibrate. Silence, reflection, prayer, breath, and solitude create an inner sanctuary where attention is restored and values are clarified. Without this inward turn, engagement becomes reactive, shaped by urgency rather than intention. Withdrawal is not an escape from the world, it is a temporary step back to recover perspective. Engagement, however, is there a peace tested in express. Peace that only exists in isolation is incomplete. When someone engages the world from grounded center, they can be respond to conflict without being consumed by it. Act and the conviction without hostility and remain compassionate without burning out. This form of engagement transforms peace from private feeling into a live posture. So, Miss Carol, in a moment of overwhelm, what is the most reliable immediate inner anchor? A breath or a breathe, a somatic check-in, or remembered phrase that you found to reestablish a sense of stability?
All of those can be done, but for me, I repeat messages and phrases to myself that I've been given during plant medicine journeys. And those are I am pure and I am light and I am love. It gives me inner calmness, which anchors and stabilizes me when I feel internal chaos. Pick the anchor that works for you.
Yes, definitely pick the anchors that's suitable for your life. In moments of overwhelm, the most reliable immediate inner anchor is the one simple, embodied, and repeatable under stress. Across psychology, contemplative practice and coaching, one stand out as the most universally effective. A longer exhale, for example, is inhaling for 4 counts and exhaling for 6. Directly signals the nervous system that danger has passed. It works quickly because it bypasses overthinking and engage the bodies to build in regulation system. Even 1 or 2 cycles can reduce psychological intensity enough to restore choice. So, Miss Carol, where or we are what we consume. How does one intentionally curate their input, news, social media, conversations, not being ignorant, but be informed without being poisoned?
It's a choice of what we expose ourselves to. Take needed breaks from social media. That's helped me in the past. Friends know I don't watch the news because I feel the media puts beliefs into what news is delivered. Friends share with me what is relevant. If something feels toxic, eliminate the poisonous source from your life. Make the active choice to not drink the poison and be intentional with what you allow into your life.
Yes, people eliminate those poison in your life. To be informed without being poisoned requires threatening attention as a finite ethical resource rather than an open pipeline. The goal is not ignorance but discernment, choosing inputs that increase clarity, agency, and understanding instead of fear, outrage, or numbness. First, separate frequency from importance. The most important events in the world rarely require consulting on constant monitoring. Consuming news once or twice a day from limited number of credible long-form success preserve context and reduces emotional manipulation. Second, audit emotional impact, not just accuracy. Ask after consuming content. Am I better equipped to think, act, or empathize, or merely more agitated? Information that consistently inflames without clarifying a corrosive, even if it is factually correct. This is especially true on social media where algorithms reward outrage over insight. Hmm. So, Ms. Carol, much of our anxiety is fueled by culture of more, right? So, how do you cultivate the deep countercultural discipline of sensing and declaring this is enough in a given moment?
Well, more often equates to our finances. People here in the US chase the American dream. I did this for a few years. What I found is the more that you have, the less happiness and peace exist. You have to make an active decision that you don't want to participate in the behavior any longer. It's a choice. Things become crystal clear. You will either continue desiring more or walk away from the programming and what's expected in our society.
Indeed, what would you expect of the society? Cultivating the discipline of these is enough requires a conscious resistance of the cultural logic of accumulation. More information, more achievement, more validation, more control. That the logic trains the nervous system to remain perpetually dissatisfied. Declaring enough is not a complacency, it's an act of clarity and self governance. First step is learning to recognize that felt sense of sufficiency. This is often appear a quiet setting in the bodies. A reduction is urgency, a sense that adding more could be meaningful, improve the moment. Pursuing long enough to notice the signals is essential because the culture is more trains us to override and automatically. So, Miss Carol, the world is inherently uncertain. How do we shift from resisting uncertainty, which creates anxiety, to developing a relationship with it that includes curiosity and even trust?
Anxiety's a constant companion in my life. When you resist and fight against what you should do, it creates a push pull dynamic. Now I look deep within and question what my life's uncertainties mean. Once you step out of the situation and observe it you're an outsider, it becomes easier and allows you to trust your decisions more. My anxiety has lessened by not resisting and trying to trust in the lesson that's received.
Definitely, yes. So, people shifting our relationship with uncertainty begins with a reframing. Uncertainty is not a flaw in life, it's a feature of it. Anxiety intensifies when we treat uncertainty as enemy to defeat rather than a condition to navigate. Resistance creates tension, relationship creates capacity. The first shift is from control to competence. Much anxiety comes from believing we must predict outcomes to be safe. In reality, humans have always lived without guarantees. What sustains us is not certainty, but ability to respond, adapt, and recover. Trust grows when we notice past moments where uncertainty did not destroy us, but shape us, often in ways clarity never could. So, Ms. Carol, how do we handle challenging conversations about politics, values, difficult topics with loved ones or colleagues in a way that prioritize connection over conversation and protects relational peace?
It's quite difficult. In the past, I would almost have arguments with others with differing opinions. I wanted to be right. It was egoic. When these conversations happen, allow the parties to have equal time in saying what they want to. Honesty, kindness, and vulnerability matter during these conversations. Don't try to pick a fight with them or tell them what they want to hear to maintain peace. After discussion and there is opposition, say, I don't want this to change our dynamic. We're going to have to agree to disagree. And I've done that before. There are no winners if you lose that person. Try to keep peace during these moments. Sometimes you do walk away because the person refuses to accept your point of view. It's unfortunate.
Indeed, people having challenging conversation without damaging relationship requires a deliberate shift in goal, posture, and pace. When the aim moves from winning to understanding, the conversation becomes a space of or for connection rather than combat. First, clarity goals internally before speaking. Ask yourself, do I want to persuade or do I want to preserve trust? Conversation driven conversation tend to escalate because they frame the other person as a problem to solve. Second, lead curiosity, not conclusion. Asking how someone arrived at a belief at for more disarming than challenging the belief itself. Question like, what experience shaped that view? Or what concern feels most important to you here? And third, name values before debating positions. Beneath most disagreements are shared of human concerns like safety, fairness, dignity, freedom, and belonging. Surfacing these common values refrains the conversation from the opposition to overlap. Even when conclusions differ, recognizing shared intentions preserve mutual respect. So, Miss Carol, how is the ability to set clear, compassionate boundaries with people, with work, with demands, a non negotiable foundation for sustainable peace and not an act of hostility?
People pleasers often struggle with this.
Yes.
Genuine, yes, I was one of those at one time. Genuine and compassionate boundaries without hostility is a non negotiable. Clearly define what is and isn't acceptable and what can be done through honesty and assertiveness. Open discussion must happen. Once you achieve this and understand it, the next time, if you have differing views, it's easier. Kindness is needed during moments so hostility doesn't happen.
Certainly. And people clear compassionate boundaries are essential to sustainable peace because they are protect with what allows us to remain present, humane, and engaged over time. Far from being hostile, boundaries are the condition that make genuine care possible. Without boundaries, peace becomes fragile when time, energy, and emotional availability are endlessly accessible. Resentment quietly accumulates. What looks like generosity on the surface often erodes into burnout, withdrawal, or passive anger. Boundaries interrupt this pattern by aligning capacity with commitment, allowing us to give without self betrayal. And Miss Carol, our second to the last question, what does a community that actively cultivates collective peace look like and feel like? How does one find or build this, and why this is harder to sustain peace in isolation?
Since becoming spiritual, I've connected with my soul family. When you meet your soul tribe, the souls you reincarnate with, you recognize them as community. The love and peace I feel for them is absolutely amazing. I felt safety with them that I haven't felt in other parts of my life. We love and support each other in ways that I didn't think was possible. They've helped me to find peace. So, community brings out positivity and unconditional love. saying this, many desperately want peace in their lives, and it's hard to reach. Often, internal conflict causes our egoic mind to not be quiet while in isolation. That is a hard one. Still, I struggle with that some. It's rewarding when you do reach that peaceful sweet spot, though.
Definitely rewarding people. So, what does the community that actively, well, something that we collective peace look like and feel like, people? A community that is humane and resilient. People are not walking or on an eggshell, I should say, or nor they are posturing for dominance. These are the shared understanding that dignity, listening, and repair matter more than being right. Such a community looks like psychological safety in actions. Members speak honestly without fear of humiliation. Disagreement is allowed, even expected, but it handled with curiosity and restraint. Boundaries are respected, accountability is mutual, and apologies are possible. The emotional tone is steady rather than volatile because no one person is carrying the full weight of regulation for the group. So, last question, Miss Carol. How do we create a physical and digital spaces, our homes, our workspaces, our online profiles that are designed to promote calm and focus rather than drain and distract us?
When creating something new in digital space, be honest and peaceful in your post. Posts should matter and be positive with substance. Surround yourself with natural elements like wood, stone, and plants. Some people create altars. These altars can create a physical space and allows for focus and meditation. When you put items that are sentimental in the physical space, it can create a tranquil atmosphere.
Yes, indeed. A tranquil atmosphere. Creating a physical and digital space that promote calm and focus begins with the single principles. Environment shapes attention and attention shape inner life. Spaces are never neutral. They either support regulation and clarity or quiet erode them. Calm begins with the reducing cognitive load, fewer visual distraction, clear surfaces, and intentional storage signal to the brain that it does not need to stay alert. Well, Miss Carol, we have a great episode for this week. Don't you think?
I loved it. You have so much knowledge and wisdom, and so I feel we bounce well off of each other, and I love these honest conversations.
Indeed, an honest conversation, people. And to wrap up, at the heart of this question is a simple but demanding truth. Peace is not something we stumble to, it is something we practice, protect, and share. In a world shaped by uncertainty, excess, and constant noise, sustainable peace emerges that we relate differently to what we consume and how we engage and where we place our attention. Peace is cultivated through boundaries that honor our limits, through environments that support calm and focus, through a conversation that prioritizes connection over control, and through communities that co-regulate rather than isolate. So, Miss Carol, thank you so much for your time. Would you like to plug in something?
If you want to follow me on my Facebook author page, it's BC Pitt, and I have authored two books: My Twin Flame Journey of Separation, Surrender, and Release, and Healing Sacred Wounds While Reclaiming My Power.
Yes, people, let's support Miss Carol or VCP because if you support her, for sure, more and more spiritual awakening will rise. So, Miss Carol, thank you so much for your time.
As always, I'm honored to be here, Daniel.
Maricam people, see you soon.